Hi, my name's Tim. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about things that I enjoy. One of those things is Doctor Who. So this would be episode 2 of the My series of Doctor Who, starring Patterson Joseph as the Doctor and Maisie Smith as the companion Poppy Cooper from the 60s. So the last episode they found was set in 1960s London, and they found the Jules Rimet trophy having been stolen. But actually, there's a alien mix-up because the World Cup trophy is actually an alien signaling device. Now they jump into the TARDIS, and that's where we end episode 1. So in episode 2, it's called Off the Grid. So in this, Poppy goes into the TARDIS, and this is where we get the reveal of the TARDIS. So I don't actually have the reveal of the TARDIS in episode 1, which is quite. But here we go. We've got it's bigger on the inside. We've got how it looks. I'm not really fussed about the production design on how it looks. I just want it to look better than the 13s. But the Doctor explains, I can take you to anywhere in time and space, and be back home for dinner. So what would you like? And Poppy says she wants to go to the future, see what happens to the human race. Do we have flying cars? Do we have robot dogs? Do we live on the moon? I want her to have those 60s ideas of the future, because I think that's just a good callback. Anyway, yes, pull the levers, press the buttons, twiddle the knobs, and they fly off. The doors fly open, and they are in a futuristic city. You see a car flying overhead, and they are in London, but 200 years in the future, 100 years in the future. The Doctor's still wearing his outfit, but maybe he's got a different colour shirt, different colour flower, different colour socks. I want him to kind of go through the rainbow throughout the series. But Poppy comes out wearing like a silvery jumpsuit. Think 60s sci-fi. That's kind of what she's going for. All her outfits I want to be like really cool and iconic and stylish, and I want to have like a 60s view on sci-fi. Anyway, so this is London. It's now at this point it's now an independent country and has taken over most of the south of England. And he's like, oh, remember this? And he goes and he gives Poppy a pair of glasses. I want them to be quite big, kind of over the top glasses. And she puts them on, and immediately we see like a heads up display. This is the grid. This is the social media that everyone is on, and it seemingly runs the state. The grid kind of is the law. It's how people do transactions. It's how everyone views themselves. So we go into a market in the East End, and it's like super scientific, super futuristic, and everyone's got these glasses on, and they're talking seemingly to themselves, but actually in conversations with people on the grid. And they use the grid to buy things. So the Doctor and Poppy go to a market, and there's some really weird fusion food that Poppy's never even seen before, being a 60s Londoner. And the Doctor goes to buy it, and she's like, no man, post to me. And she uses her glasses to try and pay for the thing. And then immediately it's like red lights, like shutters come down, and the police sirens blare. And she's like, no, not the police again, because this is obviously last episode they were chased by the police as well. Meanwhile they're doing this, you see that someone else is watching them. You see someone lurking in the shadows while they're kind of exploring New York, exploring London. And when the shutters go down, this person appears and grabs the two of them and says come with me, and races off and gets them away from the police. We learn that this girl, probably in her 20s, similar age to Maisie, is called Kenny, and she lives off the grid. So she explains that the Doctor and Poppy are criminals because they are not on the social media site. They don't have social media profiles. This means there's no history of them. This means they're deemed illegal aliens. Just because you haven't got a social media profile means you don't exist. The TARDIS has now been seized, and a warrant has been issued for their arrest. You might see people with their glasses turning red as they see this thing, and you see a hologram or something of a woman an older woman in charge, going like, "These people need to be arrested," and she's called the Social Justice. She's like, "I, the Social Justice. I think these people need to be arrested. They are a threat." Um, so in that, Poppy sees it on her glasses, and she just takes it off and just like smashes them on the ground, and she's like, "What? This is so stupid! Like, just because I haven't got a profile does means that I'm wrong. Like, that's not true. I've just got here. How can I be? Why is this happening to me?" And the Doctor explains, in this point, we're in a post-truth world where perception is reality. If everyone says that you're guilty, then you are guilty, and there's no real defense of that. And she's like, "Why the blooming hell would you bring me here?" And he was a bit like, "Well, I thought this would come in only in 21 blah blah blah, or 22 blah blah blah." And Kenny's like, "Yeah, the year is 2242." And she's like, "Oh, I thought it was 2142." And you realise that he was 100 years late. So this like links in with him not being able to fly the TARDIS properly. I want this to be a big theme. In the show, of him not figuring out how the TARDIS works because part of his memories are missing. And also it means that like the Doctor never really knows how the TARDIS works. So yeah, then they come up with the plan of the Doctor's like, "I'm going to go get arrested. You meet me at the Social Justice Centre. Don't worry, I'll be okay. You stay safe. Don't get arrested. But I'll..." And he goes off, and he does this huge, over-the-top, flamboyant display to get himself arrested by the police. Meanwhile, Poppy and Kenny kind of go off, and Poppy explains, "I've only just started travelling with the Doctor, and it's all going wrong. We've already been arrested. It's amazing, though, the future and all this kind of stuff." And Kenny says that she's never been travelling before. And Poppy talks about she went to Southend, maybe she's been to Brighton Pier, things like that. She's definitely a staycation person, because it's the 60s and people didn't travel that often. But Kenny's never been anywhere because you could just go on virtual holidays. But she's been living off the grid for a year because she didn't want to be kind of controlled in that way. And it's had an impact. She hasn't spoken to her family. She hasn't spoken to her mum ever since. Anyway, they kind of sneak off. They sneak round, and you see a bit of Kenny's life, off the grid. It's all very manual. Everything's rusty. She's kind of using tin openers and eating tin beans out. All that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, we cut to the Doctor's been arrested, and he is now in the Justice Centre for the Grid. The Grid is the social network, and it's like on the Tower of London. And Poppy and Kenny like sneak through, and then we see the Doctor's trial, and he does a big grandiose speech about how Poppy did nothing wrong, and he's willing to give himself up for punishment if she's allowed to go free. All she needs is the key to his TARDIS, and it'll take her home, and she'll be safe, and she'll be out of their way. Then he then talks about how justice should be based on facts and truth, not lies, not perception. If everyone says the sky's red, that doesn't mean that the sky is red. The sky's still blue. And he talks about how the grid has taken over people's lives, and not in a good way. And he actually does something with his Sonic, and he messes up everyone's filters on their glasses, and you see people actively turn into other people, or because everyone's seen everything through the glasses, so people are like everyone now is less beautiful because they just use the filters on the glasses. Some people are completely catfishing, and it's like a beautiful blonde woman is actually like a little old Indian lady. Stuff like that. Yeah, so it's just kind of showing, and he's like, he says something like, "I'm not perfect. I know that. And I'm proud of that. Look me up." And this is when we get like the social justice police people bring up a file on the Doctor, and we get like the montage of the Doctor throughout time. And this is where we see some Daleks. This is where we see some Cybermen. This is the only time you see Daleks in this series. I suppose there's like a legal thing that they have to show a Dalek every year for the Terry Nation estate. I don't know if it's just a rumor or if it's just they just do it regularly, but this is when that would appear. This is when we see that. And then like we get to the Doctor now, Patterson Joseph's Doctor, and then there's like files missing, redacted, or something like that, and he's like, damn. In the end, like he does this and he does this big speech, and Poppy and Kenny come down, and we realise that Kenny's mother, her fam, is the social justice. She's the daughter of the social justice, and they basically the resolution is the Doctor convinces people to change the grid. They don't get off the grid completely because it does social. This social media does have a way of connecting people and bringing people together, but people need to be real and people need to have tactile relationships. And they kind of resolve it. They kind of talk it out basically. And in the end, they decide to go back home, and Kenny's associated with her mum again, and you see like maybe you even see like a new model of the grid where it's not glasses, it's just like earpieces or something, so that people still have to have that face-to-face interaction, something like that. And in the end, we get the final as they're like the TARDIS disappears. We see Mark, Poppy's housemate, in a red phone box, just sitting there, and he like tries to get to the TARDIS and he can't, so he just goes back to his red phone box, and it's like, how has he been here for like 200 years? You know, and that's the kind of the end bit that links in. Yeah, so this is an episode that's about social media. You know, it's about the dangers of it. It's about how things can get twisted. It's where lies can spread and things like that. And it's about people putting on fake personas of themselves. I don't want this episode to be about snowflakes or wokeness or cancel culture or things like that, because it's not. That's a very I could cause a big argument. I don't really want to cause a big argument. I think we all agree that Instagram filters aren't good, you know. So that's kind of more what it's about. It's not like all social media is bad. I just wanted to kind of say that thing. We want to see Poppy. Poppy gets to learn more about the Doctor through this. She also has her own mission to like sneak in to the Justice Center with Kenny. So she has some moments there, and then the Doctor gets to do a big speech, which kind of shows who's this Doctor is, as the Doctor's fighting out himself. From a production point of view, there's no aliens in this, so and the costumes, you got the glasses, which I think would be quite cool, but main sets would be like the marketplace and then the social justice, plus where Kenny lives off the grid. So not a huge amount of sets. I want the CGI to be making the city look super futuristic. That's what that would be for. But anyway, that is my episode 2 off the grid of my series of Doctor Who. All right, looking for an outro. Bye.